fan of fantasy, so I listen to Easy and Alan on their Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. Now here's Easy and Chris Allen.
And welcome. A little late, but we're here on a Wednesday evening on the Sportscrew Radio Network. And we'll make this a quick show since we're starting a little late. Welcome, Mr. Chris Allen. Are you still working from home?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm here working from home.
I went back to work this week. So
Look at
I'm
you.
working from work.
There you go.
Woohoo! I'm still waiting for unemployment check. So I was unemployed for 3 weeks. I've yet to get a damn check. So I'm not voting for anybody right now. The next time we have to vote, I'm not voting.
All right.
No, I really. Hey, I'm old enough to I could survive 3 weeks without any funding, but it's taken a while.
I was going to say, did you get your Social Security check or something to help tide you over?
Nothing. ARP doesn't even send me anything.
Oh, what the hell?
I don't even get ads right now. Or coupon. I don't even got coupons. I have no coupons. Yeah. So I'm, so luckily I'm back to work. So that's all we can say.
Gotcha.
And hopefully we'll have football to talk about.
Yep.
That's still the big question. The excitement this week happens tomorrow.
Yes.
You get excited for the schedule release. I don't normally, I guess, but I think I'm more excited this week because there's nothing else going on. Yeah. I don't know. Is there a show? Is ESPN doing 4 hours? I don't even know much about it.
It wouldn't surprise me if they put together some sort of live cast similar to the draft and try and squeeze out, as much drama around this as possible, like where they start showing like the divisional matchups and then they'll go back and start showing clips of some of the games between the teams. I can already see it happening.
Well, but okay, and you're rolling your eyes, but because there's nothing else, doesn't the NFL Network, doesn't ESPN, don't they have to do that?
Do they have to? I mean, yeah, I guess, but doesn't mean I'm going to watch it.
No, I haven't paid attention. Does Tampa Bay, do they play the Patriots at all? Is that a chance? Seems like these big people sign with new teams, they always seem to somehow be on the schedule the next year.
Yeah, I would not be surprised
if somehow
the schedule makers somehow
figured it out.
Yeah, figured out a way for them to play, but they already have to play. They already have to go down. Well, at least they have to play Miami twice. So they're already going down to Florida at some point. So I don't know if they would make them go back down again for another. No. I mean, you'd have to send Brady up there, right? I mean, you wouldn't. That
game would have to take place.
Yeah,
in New England, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it would have to take place,
right? And then they could spend like a full week. Brady's return to Foxborough.
Oh, it would definitely a week. They'll spend a week if that would happen. They'll spend a week talking about it right now,
right?
Let alone the week it actually happened.
But no, the week leading up to it, so they'd have they'd have 6 full days in order to show it. They could play all 6 Super Bowl championships each night leading up to the game.
Right, but that would be a Sunday night game, probably. I'm assuming that would be a Sunday nighter.
Yeah. They probably cut out the Thursday night game to replay one of his Super Bowl games.
I mean, I would watch, but I don't see myself owning any fantasy people on either of those teams this year. So,
you're no fun.
I'm a curmudgeon.
I know.
I don't. What do you mean no fun? We talked about this last week. Neither of those squads right now have players that I see that are going to be any great value. So I'm a value guy. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they play, back same thing. If you're a scheduler, I think you make that game later in the season.
I think like 5, 6.
By then I'd own somebody who, peaked a little bit. We'll see. Cincinnati and Dallas, maybe they'd play each other and Andy Dalton could,
yeah, sure.
sit on the sidelines there. What do you think about Mr. Andy Dalton? So I've never been a fan of his one way or the other. This seems like a good fit. He's from Dallas, lives in Dallas, has a house in Dallas. He never committed to Cincinnati. So, you know what? $3 million to hold a clipboard. I don't think that's terrible.
No. Good organization. He's still young enough such that if they needed him to come in a la Nick Foles, he could probably be serviceable.
He's young enough if they need him a la contract next year and Dak Prescott's not a Cowboy.
True.
That'd be a possibility. I think Andy Dalton is a respectable backup. I think he'd be a decent. I still think he's at least mid-pack on the right team. I think he's a starter personally.
Yes. If he had been traded to Chicago and replaced Mitchell Trubisky, I would have been happy with that.
I'd be happy with that, but I also think, how do I want to say this? I don't think Dallas changes a lot. If not, would they be a little better right now? Would they be better with Andy Dalton's experience over Dak Prescott's? That's where he seems to struggle sometimes, where he just kind of gets what I feel out of the game plan. But that team's pretty offensive.
They got plenty of weapons.
Andy Dalton has proven if you got a good offense around him and they're all healthy, he can do the job and get to the playoffs. You just can't win the playoff game.
Right. But I think that if you're trying to compare those two, I don't think that he's better than Dak Prescott. He's not.
Okay. I didn't say that he was better. I said with that team, aren't both of those quarterbacks probably? I think the result would be the same, I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, if they're going to go, 10-7, I think they could do 10-7 with either one of those quarterbacks.
No, I don't think so.
See, I agree. I do, because Dak Prescott just here and there, there's still, he hasn't wowed me enough yet to where, and hey, we could argue this all we want. They haven't given him the money. I don't think he's wowed them either. Do you, right? I mean, if he had wowed them more, he'd probably already be paid.
Well, I don't know. I think that the whole Zeke holding out thing kind of forced their hand, and they had already traded for Amari Cooper. So contract negotiations were kind of set on hold, were set aside because they had other stuff that they were forced to pay sooner. That's my take on it.
They could still get plays a part.
They could still get a deal done over the summertime.
I also think they think they can win with a different quarterback with having Cooper and Zeke, and now the way the draft fell, their offense got better. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm more happy for Andy Dalton now than I ever was with him as a Bengal.
Yes. I would say at the very least, he's at or just maybe slightly below league average for a quarterback. I would put him around there, like quarterback, let's say 18, 19, 20. Like if you're just like to throw all the quarterbacks together, Andy Dalton's probably around like quarterback 20, somewhere.
Well, again, my problem with that, the way you're putting that is Andy Dalton, I think to me has proven it just requires the team. If he has the right team, he's a top 10 quarterback. If he has a bad team, he's in the 20s. I agree with that. I mean, now people can say that a lot about any guy, but Trubisky on Dallas right now doesn't have, to me, a shot at 10-7. Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott both would have a shot at 10-7. That's my point. I think
I think that's fair.
Above other players that could get there. So
yeah,
I believe we're going to only be on 30 or 40 minutes, and we just wasted 9 of it on Andy Dalton.
Well,
we have a Hall of Famer that signed a contract today. So what? You don't think that's big news? Unfortunately, for fantasy, a little bit. I mean, when Frank Gore goes somewhere, the backfield becomes less valuable. It just does, right? I mean, for fantasy, when he signs somewhere, and next year when he signs with the Bengals, it's going to hurt Joe Mixon. So my point is, is this a big hit, on the Jets running back?
The backup, sure, not on Le'Veon Bell.
You don't think so? I
No.
think it will affect Le'Veon Bell.
No, I
don't think they like Le'Veon Bell there.
Sure, but if my stance on the Le'Veon Bell thing is that even if they don't like him, I can agree that he's not going to be there for 2021. So why not run him into the ground before you give him to another team? So that's where I wouldn't think that Frank Gore is going to have a massive impact on him, because why not just use him up and then
my issue is,
let him go.
Again, I think Frank Gore is going to get the ball down on the goal line. I think Frank Gore's going to go in every 3 or 4 series, and to me that hurts Bell's value. Not that Bell was high, Bell before this, and I'm not saying this has a major impact. I just think there's some impact. Mm-hmm. Bell was one of those people in the back of my head. I'm like, if he fell far enough, I'd take a shot on Bell next year, fantasy wise. A lot of people have him, in the 18-22 range as running backs.
Still catches passes. I mean, still pretty good.
I would take him, like I said, if I had a choice between Chubb in the second and Bell in the fourth, Bell all day long in the fourth.
Yes. And I've seen him go like middle of the third, like somewhere in there.
I think late 30s is steal, to be real honest. Or could be. Let's put it that way. I mean, I
can look it up. So people who've listened to this podcast, hear me all the time. I like to find people. That third and fourth, fifth round pick. I like to see people who have the ability to be a first round numbers guy. Mm-hmm. I think that's Bell. Bell is one of those people you can draft in the third or the fourth if he drops that far. That could end up, if things fell right, could give you round 1 stats for fantasy. I think that's fair. I mean, not to name drop. I am currently in a mock draft with some notable people in the fantasy industry.
Give me a good one.
JJ Zacharyson is in it.
Okay.
Brad Evans, formerly of Yahoo Fantasy. Mm-hmm. Who else is in it? Scott Fishbowl. Everybody knows him.
Yeah.
Chris Raybon, now of the Action Network, formerly of 4for4. Who else is in it? Oh yeah, Evan Silva is also.
But the key is it's still you. You're there.
There's one more.
They should all be talking right now that, man, I can't believe I'm in a mock draft with Chris Allen.
One more guy in it. His Twitter handle is Matthew Berry TMR.
All right. There you go. Throwing out a few names.
It's a few names. It's a few names.
And they should be lucky that you I'm sure I got nothing to do. I'll draft.
I'll join. That's fine.
How far are you in that draft?
10th round, towards the end of the 10th round.
Where'd Bell go?
He went top of the 3rd round.
Top of
the RB 18 is where he was at. So
RB
about
18.
Yeah.
Give me a few names that went before, I don't know, 18s? Then a ton of running backs went off.
Right.
He's the top of the 3rd and 18 already went off. That's my God. In the 3rd round, what kind of wide receivers were there? There had to be some decent wide receivers in the 3rd and 4th round.
Oh yeah, I got Odell Beckham, Allen Robinson, those guys were going.
You named another name I have on my list of 3rd or 4th rounders that could give you 1st round numbers, and that is Odell Beckham also.
Yep. So the running backs that went around Le'Veon Bell, Chris Carson went shortly ahead of him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the new Kansas City Chiefs running back, went ahead of him. Yeah. And then it was DeAndre Swift and Jonathan Taylor, and a couple more rookies went ahead of him. And then Le'Veon Bell went at the 3-4 turn.
Couldn't do that.
But then the guys that went after Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon and Leonard Fournette.
What Miles Sanders? Where's he
early, early 2nd round. JJ Zacharyson took him at RB 11.
All right. Man, I over Bell, I'd have trouble. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Bell is one of those that I would take my chances. I know Leonard Fournette keeps falling in a lot of ADPs and all things for some reason other than
for redraft. I'll take Leonard Fournette.
I would too, but I was thinking the way he ended it, he'd be a first round draft pick. And most places now he's fallen to the second.
Yeah.
Also fallen out of the 15 top running backs. I don't get that.
I'll take him. I mean, especially in a PPR league. Why not?
I know running backs, we talked last week, running backs have a better shot at getting through this no practice, or no training camp, even though, like I said, my issue isn't as much that they're not capable of game playing and all that. It's just were they able to keep themselves physically fit, being young kids out of college, like to eat pizza. But all right. And then I'm still worried about Joe Mixon being this year's Le'Veon Bell and not playing, or at least not playing till week 11 or 12. So I would struggle, there also with those kind of players going before. Give me another name. Odell Beckham, Bell, is a name that is somebody I think's going in that. Because again, I think you can, a good third and fourth round pick can win you some fantasy.
Yes.
Leagues. Do you have any other people that are going, that you think are those third or fourth round value that could end up paying and giving you first round numbers?
Todd Gurley, fourth round.
I like that. I mean, Todd Gurley to me is one of those, though. How do I want to say this? I don't think I'll draft Todd Gurley. I think I'll try to trade for him in the third. I think there's some about. I think he's going to struggle the first few weeks, and then I think you'll get him cheaper. He is one of those. I have him as my. Now again, don't get me wrong. I mean, third or fourth, fifth round. If he fell far enough, I'd probably pick that up. But I think he'll get drafted a hair higher, and then I think back to the same thing. He's one of those players. Going to a new team, a new system. There's no practice. There's no nothing. You know what? Week 4, put an offer out there and see
what you get.
See what you get.
I mean, because the Falcons, they lost Austin Hooper. They don't have Devonta Freeman anymore. So I could see a few dump offs heading his way. They didn't add anybody behind him of note. Right. So, I mean, assuming he's healthy and the knees aren't an issue, then you pick him up as your second running back, possibly third, depending on how the first few rounds shake out. It's not bad.
No, right. I will give you that. I'm just trying to think of a few others that I kind of had penciled in.
Like in the fourth and fifth round?
Yeah. What about what's going to happen with Tyler Lockett? Does he have any chance is it Metcalf's show there? Or is Lockett still the number one? And if he stays healthy, could he give you maybe not first round numbers, but give you second round type numbers if you can get a Tyler Lockett in the fifth?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, from a targets perspective, I don't really think that like DK Metcalf really took over the show to begin with. It's more of, I think they can both maintain like equal shares throughout the season. So while their market shares might wind up being in the wide receiver 2 range, so 20-21%, I still think that it's possible for them to both wind up with similar final season numbers, because Tyler Lockett could wind up with more receptions and similar touchdown numbers, but then DK Metcalf would wind up with more yards because he has the higher ADOT.
All right. I agree. Let's say you miss out on Odell Beckham in the late third, fourth round, early sixth, late fifth. Could Jarvis Landry, if the Odell Beckham thing doesn't work out again, could Landry give you that second round numbers? Is there a shot that team changes and brings, things change and obviously, or could both of them give you value? Is there a chance that both those players can give you value on that team, or is it going to be one or the other?
I think both can, and this is something that I've heard talked about, which I agree with, is that I think both of them can return either high-end wide receiver 2, or they could probably do something similar to what Chris Godwin and Mike Evans did this past season in returning like similar like high-end wide receiver value, because they both actually wound up with wide receiver 1 market share like within their offense. They both hovered around 23 to 25% throughout the season. So take that target share, couple that with their talent. Yeah, I think they could both wind up like within for their cost. Jarvis Landry probably has the better path to exceeding value, because if Odell's going in the 3rd, something really great has to happen for him to move up. But Jarvis Landry in the 5th or 6th, I could see him returning like 4th, like mid 4th round value at least.
The Giants, Tate or Shepard, is either one of them have a chance to end up with numbers up there? To me, it seems like that's an offense that's just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
They didn't draft a wide receiver. Do one of those two, because again, I think those are 2 guys also falling into that 6th roundish area. Yeah. The key there, same thing. Which one do you go with? They both are similar. Is Shepard the star there, or is Tate the veteran that could take over and again give you decent value at that late pick?
I still think that they're trying to evaluate what they have in Shepard. I'm trying to remember like how much more time he has like on his rookie contract. I want to say he probably has like 1 more year if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I would think that he would be in line for more opportunity. So at the start of the season, I would say that Shepard would be the one that I would want to invest in more. If he starts to falter, gets injured again, Golden Tate would be one of those guys that, one, I'd be surprised if he got drafted. If he does get drafted in like redraft leagues, he'll probably get quickly dropped because his production won't be so high. Right. Because they'll still have Darius Slayton, they'll still have Evan Ingram coming back, Saquon Barkley. So most of Sterling Shepard or Golden Tate would be the 4th option in that on the passing tree anyway.
But the number 1 wide receiver, one of them is going to be the number 1 wide receiver.
I don't know. It could be Darius Slayton.
You think?
It could be. He was
right.
Good. He turned out to be, he surprised me last season, to be quite honest. And his connection with their new quarterback, who knows?
All right. Well, my issue with that is, though, Golden Tate wasn't there for the first, 4 or 5 games. So
right.
I just wondered if Golden Tate being there, because Golden Tate did a lot of, he's a good football player. So
yeah, he's had one of the nicest hands in football for some time. And so I think he's a great player, but it's just they know what they have in Golden Tate and where he's at in his career arc. If they want to assess whether or not they're going to pay Sterling Shepard moving forward, then they need to do that now.
All right. Any other names that you might have even farther down your list that in your mind, you're like, if things fall right, and I'm not talking injuries because you never can, you can't judge it on injuries, but any other player even lower than we're talking that, now we're talking 7th, 8th, 9th round. I'm not talking rookies either, because that's, that happens. I'm just talking, someone who's been playing for a few years that you just go, hey, if things go right, this person could give you, I'll even give you up down to that 3rd round numbers. You pick up somebody in the 7th or 8th round, they give you 3rd round numbers. That's a winning thing. For instance, in my mind, I have penciled Larry Fitzgerald. I think if things go well, I know that things are changing there, but Larry Fitzgerald could still catch 100 balls. Larry Fitzgerald,
he just did.
Can do a lot of things. And right now, he in some drafts, he's not going till after the 10th, 12th round. If at
late.
all.
Yeah, late. So you bring up a good point. Like he would be somebody that I wouldn't mind taking at his cost that could exceed his draft cost. But the other 2 older guys that could also exceed their draft cost, T.Y. Hilton. He's still there in Indianapolis.
I haven't paid a lot of attention. I've not been a T.Y. Hilton. Whereabouts is he going right now?
6th round.
Oh man. And that's just because,
5th round, 6th round, somewhere in there. And then also our boy AJ Green. AJ Green is going in like the 7th round.
Yeah.
He is and has been a wide receiver 1. And so if we're going to be excited about Joe Burrow and that offense at all, it has to go around AJ Green.
AJ Green. I can see that. To be honest, I wouldn't even think AJ Green because he's just off my radar from not playing, last year. That's a good one. And DK Metcalf, I know he's going later, and you also have Devontae Parker going later, and Miami's obviously going through a lot of changes. Devontae Parker kind of proved last year that he can catch a football now. It's taking 5 years, but he can catch a football. I know we talked Lockett earlier, but Metcalf is going later in most things now. And then, like I said, and then you have Devontae Parker that's dropped quite a ways. I don't know, either one of them have a shot at giving you decent fantasy numbers.
Parker, I guess maybe I'm taking the cheese on that one. And thinking that he could probably, because after Preston Williams went down, and it really was just Devontae Parker, because Albert Wilson was injured for most of the season. Alan Hearns wasn't doing much.
He started catching footballs.
Right. And it really was just him. So all of those concerns about, well, can Devontae Parker still continue to produce while seeing top corner coverage, maybe seeing double coverage because he's the only option.
Right.
He still performed. So against the Patriots, we watched it happen. So I'm kind of taking the cheese on that one and thinking that he can still continue to produce, even if they, however they want to address the quarterback position this season. If they want to let Fitzpatrick start for a little bit, make sure that Tua's hip is okay, and then let him take over later, I'm fine with that.
All right. Another name I have penciled. This is for personal reasons because I have him in a keeper league.
Okay.
Is there any chance? And unfortunately, I have to say this: if he stays healthy, can Darius Geis be a top running back in the NFL?
Yes.
And can he do it on Washington?
That's the problem.
Well, okay, but my thing is, if he is healthy and he starts the season, will he be the starter? And two, if he takes off, would he be their main running back? Or do you think they're going to split time with him regardless because they're worried about him getting hurt?
I'm just going to walk down Narrative Street and see what and think on this for a little bit. So right now they have 7 running backs.
They got a zillion running backs.
They have 7.
Some of them are going to get cut.
Yes,
some are not going to be on the roster.
They're not going to be on the roster. That cut camp cuts and all that, and that's fine. I understand that. But so let's say that they do want.
I love to interrupt you.
I know.
Pause that right now. Out of the 7, all of them are 100% healthy tomorrow. Which is their best running back right now?
Darius Geis. That's easy.
That's. I just wanted to hear it.
Yeah. But let's say that Ron Rivera looks at that squad, sees where they're at in their career arcs, and sure, they drafted a guy this season, and Ron Rivera has no connection to Darius Geis, Bryce Love.
Right.
He might respect Adrian Peterson because he's been in the league for so long, Hall of Fame running back, so on and so forth.
He earned that.
Yeah, sure. But could I see a scenario where he looks at Darius Geis, the draft capital acquired in order to pick him up, and think that, well, let's see what we can get out of him this year, and then if we don't like him, we can get rid of him after this year. I can see that narrative playing out, where if he's healthy, he shows that he's healthy throughout camp, preseason. They let him start. He takes off and he hits the ground running, literally, and then he takes over that job and he owns it. I could see that. I can see Ron Rivera holding to that and just saying, all right, well, the kid's got it. He can do it. We already have Gibson on his rookie contract, so we don't have to start him right now.
Right.
And we need to figure out if this kid's healthy right now. Let's see what we can do with him.
Then you could work. If Geis stayed healthy this year, you'd have him this year to work him hard and next year because he's got 2 years on his rookie contract.
So it's not impossible.
Okay. So that being said, whereabouts is Geis going in most pick? I can keep him in the 12th. I don't have a lot of keepers on my team, so I could keep him in the 12th. So obviously, no, most people say, you know what? There's a lot of people you draft in the 12th that don't work out.
Right.
This is at least one that maybe, and obviously before the draft comes, we'll know if he's healthy.
Mhm.
You know, to me, if there's any chance he's not starting the season, I'm out. I don't care.
No.
I don't know where I wouldn't draft him at all, other than if he fell late, I'd draft him, put him on my IR and
Right.
see. But, he has proven, unfortunately, it just hasn't been that many games. But when he's been 100%, he's been a very good NFL running back. I mean, he
Darius
just really
Geis,
has. It just hasn't happened enough.
He went in the 9th round, but it was Matthew Berry that took him, who is a noted Redskins lover.
Fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I'm sure there's some hype going on if you're a Redskins person.
Right.
So the 12th might be a keeper area for him. And, if it doesn't work, you cut it. I mean, it's a 12th rounder. We've all cut 12th rounders off of our fantasy team before. And go whatever. So that's kind of where we're at. Latest quarterback that you like that could give you, unfortunately, it's a little different because we're talking less players.
Mhm.
How low in the quarterback ranking would you go to say that guy could get me top 5 quarterback, fantasy points?
So looking at the way that I'm referencing the draft right now, I took Carson Wentz at quarterback 9. But to go even deeper than that, I could see myself waiting until quarterback, let's say 12 or 13, maybe getting myself a Matthew Stafford, like somewhere around there.
I hate it when you take my players.
That would be one guy that I would be looking at.
If we know Stafford's 100% healthy,
Mhm.
I think he's the quarterback that you can go quite late on that could give you top 5.
Yep.
Maybe better. People don't forget last year he was, I think, top 3 when he got
was up
hurt.
there.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was chucking the ball
Yep.
and doing a lot with it.
Now, if you want to wait later and look at like a Ryan Tannehill, who
Where'd Burrow go in this draft compared
He
to
hasn't
Stafford?
gone yet.
So he hadn't gone yet. Okay.
Matthew Stafford's still available.
Okay. So Staffs, and you're in what round? The 10th?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for single quarterback league, that's really about when quarterbacks start going anyway, or at least,
Right.
where did Mahomes go?
Mahomes went in the 4th round, quarterback 2.
First quarterback?
Second quarterback,
Oh, who went first?
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay. So Lamar Jackson went first because of the running.
Yeah,
where'd
JJ
he go?
Zachariason took him.
How high?
4th round.
That was fourth also?
Yep, JJ Zachariason.
I've seen some of
took him in the
these
4th.
podcast drafts or expert drafts where there's still experts taking him second, third round because they want that,
They want that upside.
running back numbers, from your quarterback spot. So,
Although I saw a report, the days are all kind of running together, so I don't know if it was this weekend or earlier this week, but I saw a report saying that their plan for him this upcoming season is that they're going to severely cut his rushing.
I've heard rumors about that too.
Like he even came out and said that their plan, based off of what they did in the draft, like how they added a few more pass catchers this season, even after moving on from Hayden Hurst, is that they want to shift the offense more towards him passing more. But now this is in May, April, so I mean, take that for whatever it's worth.
Right. All right. I think that's all I had kind of jotted down. We have gone a little over a half hour. It's about my bedtime because we weren't doing anything. Then just real quick, we've kind of went over some running backs, a few wide receivers, a quarterback, a tight end. Where's your lowest tight end that you come back and go, okay, I can get this guy way down here that could give me, and I'll use top 5 because again, it's like quarterbacks. You only, there's not as many of them.
Mm-hmm.
What tight end do you see going in those late rounds that could give you that kind of numbers?
So right now, again, just referencing this mock draft that I'm in, we've only had 9 tight ends go off the board so far, and I have not taken one yet.
Who were the last few taken?
The last few that were taken was Jared Cook at tight end 9, Evan Ingram at tight end 8, Tyler Higbee at tight end 7, and Hunter Henry at tight end 6.
Okay.
One guy that I'm looking at towards the back end of drafts, or not even the back end really, but
Careful,
the back
I'm sure
end
Matthew Berry listens.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, this is an award-winning podcast. Don't get it. Don't forget. Yeah.
Wait, I don't even. I can't even get there. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But one guy that I would encourage folks to look into is Hayden Hurst.
Damn it! Two in a row.
If you can wait and look at Hayden Hurst in his new situation, if we thought he was any good in Baltimore and taking some of those targets away from Mark Andrews, I like his situation and especially his cost. I mean, what he's walking into now in Atlanta, I mean, and how much, I mean, I'm not going to say that he's just automatically going to get Austin Hooper's targets, but Austin Hooper wasn't really all that athletic to begin with. So why can't Hayden Hurst do something
Hayden
similar?
Hurst had coming out of the draft and all that. I mean, they thought he'd be the next big tight end. I agree.
First round draft capital, baby.
I agree. I like that one. That's the one I had penciled in.
Yep.
I thought it was here, OJ Howard, that, they re-upped him and all that. Did they do that so they can trade him, or did they do that because they really are going to keep him?
I mean, they could probably still continue to look at offers for as long as they want to. Cause I mean, hell, they offered, or they tendered Matt Breida, the San Francisco 49ers. They tendered Matt Breida they hit him with his second round tender, and then still wound up trading him to the Miami Dolphins. So nothing's sacred when it comes to re-upping.
That's true. And again, you don't know how that plays value wise for the other team or not. And
so they could still be listening to offers. I'm sure they probably do not want to send him to like New England or anything like that.
The other tight end, I still, because of a little bit of change there, and I know they drafted a rookie and all that, I still really, really late. If I got Kyle Rudolph, I wouldn't feel terrible.
I don't hate that. I mean, it's Adam Thielen, Olabisi Johnson.
Right. Diggs isn't there anymore. And Diggs was the guy that would go in the middle and all that. And now, and again, when there was injuries and Diggs was out, that's when Kyle Rudolph, not Diggs was out, when Thielen was out, when they were down to one wide receiver, Kyle Rudolph picked up a lot of the load there. So,
but can we really count on him on a week-to-week basis, or is he going to be?
But we're also talking a tight end we would draft late. So,
but is he going to be Jason Witten? If he's going to be, but I'm just setting ranges of expectations. I'm not saying don't draft him. I'm just saying, like, what kind of tight end are we drafting? Are we drafting Jason Witten, or are we trying to draft somebody with more upside? Because I would say like a guy like Blake Jarwin for the Cowboys would have a little bit more upside because he's more athletically inclined
than a Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah. Well, that's all.
But what if you went Hurst and Rudolph, both of them pretty late?
Boom, boom. I'll take that.
And just wait and see. I'm not a fan of two tight ends.
I wouldn't.
At the same time, if I think they're two guys that could take off, I'm willing to take a shot and then hell, if you get one, you're good. If you get two, you're great and you can trade somebody. It just works out that way
for sure.
I agree. I think I'm amazed on those last two. We both had the same person. I won't ask about late round kickers or late round defenses, but we'll just we'll let people do that on their own.
Late round defenses, Washington Redskins.
You
Go
think? I don't have a problem. See, I luckily in my main draft, it's live. We are not forced to pick a defense, and I won't draft a defense. I'll wait till the week of. And now that being said, that's important tomorrow when the schedule comes out.
Yes, that'll be
the worst offensive team going into the season in your mind right now.
The worst offensive team going into the season right now?
Is it Miami?
No, because if that was the case, I mean, they're pretty much starting off where they're starting off this season where they left off last season, but now they have an improved offensive line. They're assuming their wide receiver 2 and Preston Williams is coming back, Mike Gesicki for another season. So no, I don't think they're the worst. If anything, I would say probably the worst, like coming into this season. Is it the
Washington?
It's either Washington. It could be the Jets, to be quite honest with you, because we don't know. I mean, their their draft capital went into their rookie wide receivers, and we know rookie wide receivers, they tend to struggle coming out.
Right.
And we
Especially
don't
in a
have
season where
we don't
right,
have a
we
ton
don't
of
have
confidence in Darnold. Le'Veon Bell's a little bit older, so I don't know if they're the worst. I would just say that.
I'm just saying. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some offenses that we know in fantasy aren't going to score a lot of points. So obviously, those are defenses. I want to know who those teams are playing the first week or two, and that's the defense I'll go after.
I mean, Pittsburgh. I mean, because of their injuries this past season, we don't know what they're going to look like coming into week one. So maybe them.
Schuster, where's he going in drafts right now?
Juju still like
confidence level out there for Juju.
Back end of the third round, like somewhere in there, so still pretty high. I mean, he still is their wide receiver one.
I mean, I think I'd rather have Odell Beckham.
Oh yeah,
and if Odell Beckham's going in the middle of the third, if that's my options, I would take Beckham first before that.
Yeah, the only team I can think that might struggle a bit more, maybe the Rams. They don't have Gurley. They don't have Brandon Cooks.
The Rams are one of those good teams that don't have a good offense.
Right. And the
49ers didn't do a lot last year points wise. They had a few good games and a few games where they were, they'd win 17-14.
Yeah.
But I guess the Jets, I guess in my mind, I was thinking Washington was going to have one of the less scoring offenses.
Sure.
In Miami, I guess I still wouldn't put Miami because I was thinking their quarterback situation, Fitzpatrick's out there. Well, even when Fitzpatrick put up fantasy numbers last year, they still didn't score a ton of points most games. They had a few decent games. I guess he had the 30-some points, but
yeah, he was like the QB1. It was like week 15 or 16.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. We killed a few minutes, and I think next week we'll start going into some best ball talk. We'll talk about some random stuff, and then maybe get into a half hour of best ball 101 and start talking some of that. And like I said, I'm just hoping we have football. I don't know, colleges. I got a feeling we're going to know here in the next 30 days or so what college sports is going to look like in the fall.
Man, we'll see.
Did you see? I know people don't care locally here. I mean, did you see where Edison announced today? No, they're going to do no athletics, no sports next year.
Yep.
They wiped out their whole sports thing.
Yeah.
It's a small college, but still, that's, I'm sure they're not the only one in the country that has made that decision.
Right.
Because if you don't know and you're a smaller school financially, you just have to roll with let's don't invest in it. So I'll be curious, like I said, because now college football is really starting to gear up. I know we're talking about, the NFL missing
supposed to be
stuff. College is really, because remember, college even starts almost a month before the NFL anymore. There's some real early college games. So.
Right. So, I mean, we're talking 3 months from now, they're supposed to be doing stuff. So it's not too much time left.
Yeah, and again, you have high school sport. The whole thing is still messed up, man. I'm still getting better at driving. I went from I've got enough levels where that bumped me from beginner to intermediate.
Proud of you.
I have not crashed a lot of cars. I bought me a Porsche 911 with a lot of the money I won, so I've got a little better GT car that I've been working the wheel on. So, learning to feather the pedals a little bit.
Oh, look at you.
I'm learning how to
look at you.
Break in, gas out, baby. That's what I tell Mrs. Easy.
Oh my gosh.
Break in, gas out.
Break in, gas out.
I'm starting to learn. I'm learning racing.
That's going to be like the new slogan.
Line. I'm just saying. Esports, here I come.
Oh man, just remember us, when you go off and make it big.
When I'm saying, hey, Chris, I can't be on tonight, I'm racing.
Right.
I mean, I still haven't committed to going online and racing against some 12-year-old kid that'll kick my ass yet.
You should.
I'm trying to, see, normally my kids make fun because when I buy these games, when I buy the Madden and all that, I don't continue playing because I don't put in the practice time. I don't put in the, I just want to play and I want to win or I want to blah, blah, blah. and I've committed to this game. I'm going through the levels. I'm doing what a real driver would do. I practice. I go on the track by myself. Did you just laugh at my? Never mind. I can see that you're not committed to my new profession.
I love it. I love it, man.
I'm not going online and get my ass kicked by a bunch of 12-year-olds.
No, that's how you know if you're good or not.
No, because that would make me quit. I know I'm not good enough yet. I'm still intermittent. I've got it's like 6 levels. I got to go next. It's next. I go to like average, I guess. I don't even know what's next. Like the next, I'm just saying. I'm working my way up before when I figure I'm gonna have to figure out how to do it. I think there's a way to. Is there a way on a PlayStation 4 to get the video out where I can record it and put it on Twitch or something where you can when I'm gonna race my first race, I'm gonna figure out how to record it.
I know you can take snapshots, but I don't know about how you can do videos unless you just stream it directly to something like Twitch, which I'm pretty sure you can do.
Videos coming out of the PlayStation 4 on HDMI. If I took the HDMI out and brought it to an HDMI input on the, I don't know. I have to something I have to look at because I do think people will find it interesting if I have video of my first online race.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, my Porsche is 911. It's red, sharp.
Oh my gosh.
Make fun of me. Chris Allen, where can we find you? What do you got going on? And just throw out your accounts and all that where people can follow you and all that so we can see how you do in this draft. Because I'm assuming at the end you'll post all that, right?
Somebody will post it. I know.
No, I want to see your team. I want to see how you do. You're making people look bad.
No, I'm not making anybody look bad. If anything,
I want you to.
This has been tough, man. This has been really tough to draft around all these great
people. Maybe it's the other way around. When you're big time somewhere, and not just doing some little podcast with me, I want you to, you can give me a little shout out.
Gotcha.
And say, you know what? I do remember that guy.
Yeah, I remember him. That curmudgeon. Yeah, I remember him. I remember him.
Yeah. All right. Where can we find you at? What do you got going on?
Find me over on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX. I've got 2 draft profiles that I'm working on right now. One on Dak Prescott that we were talking about earlier, and looking at his 2019 season, the implications of them drafting a guy like CeeDee Lamb and what we can expect in 2020. I'm also looking at Zach Moss, the running back for the Buffalo Bills. So he takes over that Frank Gore role. So I'm working on those draft profiles. I should have those done by the end of the week. So doing that. You can also catch me over at Dynasty League Football doing their weekly mailbag shows, Dynasty Owners Manual podcast, a lot of just Dynasty content in general, since that's the season that we find ourselves in.
Dynasty.
Yep.
One of these days I'll get into that, I guess. I'm afraid Dynasty will ruin my college football. College football is still the day I can turn on games and just watch.
Right.
If I become a dynasty guy, I'll now no longer,
I'm looking at it from fantasy
or college the way
right.
But I'm doing keepers in a few leagues.
Well, see, there you go. I mean,
like I said, I got the Sportscrew network thing was a keeper too. I think, right? I have to pay. I keep forgetting about that. I'm pretty sure our league last year. Yeah. Now I remember, I am the one who won that. I'm pretty sure that's a keeper league. If I recall right, when we set that up. So that's a four-man keeper league. I know you're drafting all the big wigs, but don't let them know I beat you last year. So
yeah,
I won't tell them. All right, Chris, had a great time. Next week we'll get into whatever news happens, and we'll get into some best ball stuff and go from there. And stay well, keep your family healthy, and have a great week. And we'll see you next week. Say good night.
Good night.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.